Hello learners, we have with us today Dr. Shubhangi Vaidya, who is a faculty in School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies. She'll be talking about the relevance of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary studies. Interdisciplinary is a buzzword these days in academic and policy circles. We need to understand and engage more in order to deepen our understanding of the issues that we face in the contemporary world. So let us begin by understanding what the term interdisciplinarity means.
Yes, indeed, as you rightly said, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary have become buzzwords. In teaching, in research, in policy and practice, funding institutions look for interdisciplinary proposals in a more favorable manner. However, many times we find that people are not very clear exactly what is meant by this term. Frequently, they are used in a very vague and general way. In this presentation, we'll try to attempt to shed some more light on them, and most importantly, we'll try to see why interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary studies are so relevant in contemporary times. To address Dr. Diksha's first question, what do we mean by interdisciplinarity? Well, very simply put, in the most general way, it is a dialogue or an interaction between two or more disciplines. At a deeper level, at a higher level, it also refers to an integration of tools, techniques, approaches, and theories to arrive at a more unified way of addressing very complex problems and issues. And it is an approach towards those complex issues that cannot be captured within a single disciplinary framework. There are certain contemporary issues, there are certain problems, there are certain areas which really are very hard to explain using just one set of disciplinary frameworks. Take something like gender, for instance. Now, what is gender? Gender is not just about being male or female or intersexed. Gender basically refers to an entire manner in which society and culture treat men and women, train individuals to behave like what they expect men and women to do. In other words, there are roles, expectations, there are certain differences in economic, political, and ritual roles. And also, very importantly, we find that over history, over a period of time, these understandings change. So to say that gender can be captured in just one disciplinary framework would not be strictly accurate. You need to engage with history, you need to engage with sociology, political science, literature. Literature gives us a very, very rich way of trying to understand how gender relations and how the value given to men and women has been exemplified in a particular society and through the ages. Similarly, another example that comes very readily to mind is the issue of disability. Now, disability does not just refer to a physical limitation or a problem with mind or body. Disability also refers to a certain social discrimination against people whose minds and bodies work differently. So the discipline or the domain of disability studies, which has become very, very vibrant in the West and now increasingly in India, actually examines disability not just as a medical problem, but as a social issue. And therefore, the disciplines of sociology, the disciplines of political science, human rights, history, and so on, assume a great deal of importance in trying to understand disability in a more holistic manner. So this briefly is, an introduction to what we mean by interdisciplinarity.
That is very true. You have rightly said that just looking at any one particular area according to one particular discipline is never going to solve the problems that we have in our society and our world today. So many things happen. For example, if we talk about the environment also, the current environmental problems, if we look at it, it is not possible to solve those problems by just looking at the scientific background behind those issues. So, but before that, Dr. Shubhangi, it is very now becoming curious to understand what do we mean by discipline?
Well, that is a very, very important question, because without understanding better what we mean by discipline, it's very difficult to really understand what we mean by interdisciplinarity. Right. Now, disciplines can be defined as scholarly communities that specify the phenomena to be studied, which have certain key concepts and theories, prescribe certain methods of research and investigation, and provide a career path for the scholars who are engaging that particular discipline. They also have a certain power and autonomy, as, like I mentioned, they determine careers and exert control over what is to be studied and how it is to be studied. Let me once again give an example. For instance, if you look at the discipline of economics, it has its own certain very well-defined area of study, certain concepts, theories, research methods, as well as a community of scholars, teachers, and researchers who very well understand these theories, concepts, and ideas, and in a sense use a certain professional language or jargon to communicate with each other about their discipline. Disciplines indeed do a very important role of providing a structure and, like I mentioned, a career path for scholars. But sometimes their boundaries can be a little bit restrictive for those who maybe want to try approaches or study problems which may be a little outside the pale of that particular discipline. For instance, feminist economists actually raised a number of issues about the role of women and work and the lived experience of women at work. Women not just working in the formal sector, but also engaging in domestic work, that is the work of running a home and a family. And in a sense, these questions gave a new impetus, gave a new way of looking at the whole area of work, labor, and employment that added or, was an addition, was an innovation to the traditional discipline. So we find that even though disciplines play a very, very important role in terms of providing a structure, providing a certain, framework of theories and concepts, they may also be restrictive. And particularly in contemporary times, when the kinds of issues, the kinds of problems are becoming so complex and so multifaceted, a single discipline is very often not adequate to understand these complexities. We've spoken about disciplines, so when we speak of different kinds of inquiry, an intradisciplinary inquiry is an inquiry that is restricted within the four walls of an individual discipline. We also speak about multidisciplinarity. Multidisciplinarity is when a single problem is looked at by practitioners from different disciplinary backgrounds. Right. So they bring in their respective disciplinary knowledge to understanding a problem. Interdisciplinary, of course, is a little different from multidisciplinarity. For instance, an analogy or a comparison that is often given is that multidisciplinary approaches are like a fruit salad. You chop all the different fruits, you mix them together, but when you're eating them, you can get the taste of each individual fruit separately, right? Whereas interdisciplinarity is compared to a smoothie or a kind of a milkshake. You blend all the fruits together, and what results is something with a flavor all its own. It cannot be actually divided into each distinct flavor. So this is an example from the kitchen that is
interesting.
Yeah. And transdisciplinary, as I shall mention later, is something that actually transcends the limitations of disciplines entirely. And we find that it's often frequently used interchangeably with interdisciplinarity, but many scholars argue that actually this is not the way it should be done.
To solve any problem, once we have to look at it from the interdisciplinary angle, while others it transforms into something which is under the boundaries of transdisciplinary. So that means they need to have, or we need to specifically do a lot of research in these areas. Are there any intersecting areas, which do require an individual's knowledge about interdisciplinary things and interdisciplinary thinking? Can you throw some light on what are the specific areas that deal with these issues?
Let's look a little bit at the in interdisciplinarity, right? So a very important thing for us to keep in mind is that in interdisciplinary studies and in interdisciplinary research, it is more than just a sum of the disciplines. The study of the problem itself is really the focus of our study. And different aspects or dimensions of the problem can be highlighted by various disciplinary angles, which can then be integrated or combined to provide a more holistic and a more comprehensive picture. Let us talk a little bit more about some of the different interdisciplinary areas or some examples of what we can call interdisciplines. You yourself, Dr. Diksha, have mentioned the very, very important area of environment studies. Now, to understand the environment is not just inanimate objects.
Yes.
Environment only assumes a significance in the context of the relationship between the human beings who live in it and the natural world. So in order to understand this interrelationship in a more effective manner, a discipline like environment studies or an interdiscipline like environment studies brings on board perspectives from the life sciences, from chemistry, from social sciences. And these are very, very important because unless you understand nature, culture, and society in all their interrelatedness and interconnectedness, you're not really going to be able to understand why we are facing the kind of environmental problems and issues that we see all around us today. Another equally interesting example, and I'm giving this example because we live in a developing nation. We're living in a country which is making tremendous advances in every aspect of economic and social and technological dimensions. Development studies as an interdisciplinary domain is a very, very important one in the contemporary times because it is looking at the manner in which newly independent societies or newly liberated countries after the Second World War actually forged their path to development. Now, as we know, development is a very, very important goal, but exactly what does this development entail? Is it just economic development?
Yeah.
Or does it also mean well-being? Does it mean a more holistic? Does it mean something which makes human life better? And therefore, when we talk about development studies, we find that it integrates disciplinary perspectives from economics, of course. Development economics is a very, very key component of development studies. From sociology, from anthropology, from environmental studies also, from women and gender studies, because unless we understand the way in which development is a gendered process also, how men and women actually benefit or suffer in an inegalitarian way from development, we will never really be able to understand development in a more full and a more holistic manner. Other areas which I've touched upon earlier are disability studies, studies of labor and migration, sustainability studies, peace and conflict studies, the study of globalization, women's and gender studies, Dalit studies, and so on. You'll notice that most of these interdisciplinary areas have the suffix studies attached to them. And that indeed actually, exemplifies their interdisciplinarity. It really makes it clear that these are not confined to any one disciplinary framework or any one set of concepts and theories, but they are evolving areas in which, as problems emerge, new ways of addressing those problems must also be thought of. Let's just take a look at the need for interdisciplinary research in today's world. We find that there is an inherent complexity of nature and society. There is a desire to explore problems and questions which are not confined to a single discipline. There is a very acute need for solving social problems. We are observing in the world around us that nature and society both are in some kind of a crisis everywhere. We have climate change, we have monumental pollution issues, and equally troubling social problems. Some of the most pressing social problems include the glaring inequality. There is still poverty and hunger. We haven't solved the problem of hunger. There is human-made disasters in the form of, ethnic conflict, wars. It is a very, very troubling period that the world is passing through at the moment. And it is really through interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary studies that we need to, evolve insights and technologies which can address these very, very pressing problems.
That is true, and therefore in a lot of conventional universities and institutes, we find there are a lot of programs being offered. We have urban studies, we have interdisciplinary studies, we have development studies program, we have different kinds of certificate, postgraduate and other PG programs being offered by the universities. And the idea is basically, you are right, to look at a particular thing from different perspectives to bring a solution to a particular problem. So IGNOU being an open and distance university, we have an open and distance learning systems. So do you think we have ample scope of this interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary studies for our learning pedagogy?
That's a very, very important and interesting question, Dr. Diksha. Let's talk a little bit about open and distance learning and interdisciplinary studies. We find that the goals of open and distance learning, which include basically an inclusive and an egalitarian philosophy. So education is not something that is just confined to those who can afford to go to a conventional school or college or university. Open and distance learning opens the doors. It reaches the unreached. It is basically an extremely democratic method of imparting education or taking education to the doorstep of the learner. It is people-centric, it is problem-oriented, and it approaches problems with the aim of bringing together the wisdom, the knowledge, and the resources that are available in society to addressing these problems. So this convergence of discipline, social extension of research, interaction and participation with people, and also fostering a spirit of critical reflexivity, of basically thinking about problems in a more complex, in a more nuanced manner. These are the issues that really concern both open and distance learning, as well as interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary studies.
So, in this context, I would like to say that we have a discipline called sustainability science, and IGNOU is the pioneer university to launch this discipline. And here we have a program just telling you that it is a postgraduate diploma in sustainability science. So, that is very true, as you said, that when we were talking about sustainability, or when we discuss sustainability science, it is not just taking the inputs from the environmental aspect, but also looking at the problems from social and as well as the economic terms also.
Absolutely.
So this particular program has got lot of courses. It has got natural resources at one end, another it has got environmental economics, it has also have socio-cultural systems, it has got environmental pollution. So that means you are very right in saying that nowadays in open and distance learning also we have ample scope for these type of programs to come, because nowadays students, or the need of the time is that we have to explore more and more such disciplines we have, which will give you an inclusive touch, which are quite holistic, and which will be able to cater to the needs of the coming generations, coming problems, and also to the contemporary world. That is a very interesting point that you have raised, Dr. Shubhangi.
Thank you, Dr. Diksha. Earlier you had mentioned, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. How can we make that transition? Are they the same thing? What is the difference? So now this is actually, there's some kind of discussion or debate. Frequently the two terms are used interchangeably, but according to some scholars, transdisciplinary studies actually go beyond the limitations of disciplines entirely. And they foster an entirely new way of studying issues and problems. So they create a unity of intellectual frameworks which is beyond the disciplinary perspectives. And this requires new concepts, new paradigms to capture new and emerging issues and challenges. And we find that these new and emerging issues and challenges, which really confront us as scholars, as teachers, as learners, as ordinary people, as the ordinary public, they will require in the coming days and years very, very new and innovative ways of looking at those problems. I'd also like to mention that, we have with us the way in which teaching and learning are done, the kind of, technologies which are available to us today, specifically the internet, information technology. These are all revolutionary developments. They have made it possible for people to interact, for people to study, for people to share information and knowledge as at no other point of time in human history, I would say. So therefore, to leverage these new technologies, to make the best possible use of them in order to create a more equitable, a more just, a more inclusive world, this is what all of us across disciplines need to be looking at.
So that was quite informative, Dr. Shubhangi. I'm sure our learners must have been benefited, and they must have now understood actually that what is the difference between a discipline, and most of the times we use the terms interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary terms we use together. However, we are not able to distinguish between them. That was very informative. We have learned that what actually interdisciplinary means, what is the significance of these type of studies, and how important they are. Thank you, Dr. Shubhangi.
Thank you.